Okay, well, welcome to part 2. Part 1 had an issue with running out of batteries. Let me just straighten this out there. There we are. Anyway, as I was said, this is my Joe Hillman baseball card that I made that I will send out TTM now. Well, I used again 0.25 inch margins on an index card. Well, there are 3 types of margins that I generally use. No, I'm sorry, there are 4. Borderless, which I use for older photographs where if a guy has trouble signing it and has a really, really big signature, like Fred Caligiuri of the Philadelphia A's, who is 97 years old. Obviously, I tried to make that as big as I could to accommodate his very large signature. The ones with a 0.25 inch margin that are roughly the size of baseball cards, ones with a 0.5 inch margin, and ones with a 0.75 inch margin. Now, there are not very many that you want with a 0.75 inch margin. That should almost be like the back of a baseball card. But to give you an idea, here is a 0.5 inch margin, and it's actually a little bit too small for most baseball cards. But it does have its uses. And I'm about to show you the other card I made tonight. That's Dwayne Vaughn. He was a right-handed pitcher for the 1988 Texas Rangers. He appeared in 8 games, but he was mostly remembered as a New York Mets prospect, and I'm a huge New York Mets fan, as well as a huge Detroit Tigers fan for that matter. But anyway, this card I used the 0.5 inch margins for, and if you look closely, in fact, it's actually the same size. But odds are, because it has no borders, no text on the front, that you can get the same kind of size signature that you get with this one here. And in case you're wondering, yes, I did have to abbreviate the stats on the back, and they are kind of small. But the signature should be fine. I mean, it's not that much smaller than a standard baseball card, as you can see here. This is the signature area. It actually covers the signature area perfectly. So it really shouldn't. It probably will not make that much of a difference, at least in my experiences getting autographs through the mail on these size cards. And now you may be wondering, well, okay, I made those from an index card. Do they bend around? They're a little flexible, sure, but they're not like made out of paper. They're on a thicker stock. They work just fine. And actually, one of the things that can help you on the back, if you want to fill out all the stats like I do, is you can actually use the grading to just put the numbers there. And of course, you would just send this out like any baseball card. For me, that means sticking it between 2 index cards, which are marked for protective purposes only. But for you, it could be just folding it up inside a letter. I would recommend using a relatively thick index card because, again, this is going to go through the mail. It's going to be banged around a little bit. It's probably not going to get creased too badly. That's one advantage of sending it over a standard baseball card, actually. But otherwise, yeah, you're probably going to want to protect it somehow. Also, let it dry, because if you put too much ink on it, I guarantee you it's going to smear like heck. And your protective index cards or your letter or whatever, that you're using to protect it is going to have a lot of ink transfer. So just to recap, I would highly recommend doing these if you do not want to pay the price like I did with this Joe Hillman card, where some idiot has it on eBay for 15 bucks and is not worth anywhere near that. Or you just have a picture where you, in Dwayne Vaughn's case, I'm not really interested in sending him a card from 88 Donruss rookies. I am interested in sending him a New York Mets card because I'm a huge Mets fan, and the only one available, unfortunately, is TCMA, I believe, and it's a minor league card. It's very, very poorly done, as with most of the early 80s TCMA. In fact, they didn't even spell his name right on the back of the card. So I actually think I put more effort into the back than they did, which should tell you a lot about how poorly their cards were done. But yeah, again, to recap, since I already used that phrase, I do it for people who you otherwise cannot get cards of. I also have done this for some of the recent returns that you've seen, like Gene Baquet, Joe Stanka, some of my recent send-outs like Bill Hockenberry, who is the oldest living Phantom Major Leaguer, where he appeared on the 25-man roster of the 1947 A's, but never appeared in a game. Carl Miles, who is the oldest living pitcher. I did one for Dwayne Wilson, who played for the Boston Red Sox in 1958. I did one for Ralph Moriello, who played with the 58 Dodgers, although I actually was lucky enough to find a picture of him with Brooklyn in spring training. And of course my father was a New York National League fan before the Dodgers and Giants moved out west, so that was really nice. But all that stuff, yeah. Also, one last tip, one last word of advice, and that would be, if you have a preference to get these cards signed in a particular type of pen, or hey, what's the best pen for these, I would actually say ballpoint. More specifically, blue ballpoint or black ballpoint, a Bic stick. A marker, a felt tip will show up, but on the other hand, it'll probably run right through the card. And a gel pen is probably not going to be all that great. On the other hand, as you've seen, the pens that I've used, where I've actually put in writing, if you could use a ballpoint pen, I'd really appreciate that. They've actually turned out really nicely, and they've contrasted really nicely with the back of the card, even if the card back is somewhat darker, or where they're signing is somewhat darker. And it's just because of the indentation. But so that would be, I would recommend you use a ballpoint for these cards. Again, these are not cards that you're going to put on display in your card album. These are cards to get an autograph on. If you really, really want to display them, wait until the autograph is there. Anyway, this is John William Greenbaum signing off now, and relax, sit back, and have fun graphing. Have a good day.